Welcome to the Hawthornden. The rugby action continues here, streaming live for you. School sports rugby, so glorious to see it back in action, and what a glorious field it's on as well here at Wynberg. One tends to forget what a fantastic view of the mountain one has. But of course, more important matters at hand. We have Wynberg taking on SACS, a classic southern suburbs clash. Alongside me today, a man who's represented South Africa at pretty much every level. It's Andre Strauss. How are you, sir?
I'm well yourself, thank you, Paul. Great to be back watching live rugby, and what the perfect setting is and a good day for it as well.
We are underway, courtesy of Clyde Tiernissen. SACS off to a steady start after an unsteady receipt of the kickoff. Cleared from the base by McIntyre, and the kick goes clear. Very well received, and the penalty goes the way of the receiver in the end.
It was a good start by SACS. They were very clinical in the way they carried the ball upfield and got the ball into the right part of the field. Unfortunately, giving away the penalty there, and this is what Wynberg would have wanted, to get their forwards into the opposition half and have it back at scoring points early on.
Slight wind breezing across the field, which might make the such kicks challenging as time goes on. Nothing too much to consider. Wynberg make their way upfield.
It's a perfect attacking opportunity for Wynberg. Always crucial, the first line out, to find your line out jumpers, to get the nerves down and to get the forwards on the front foot.
Slight technical delay in the play. Oh, they're asking for a linesman. Well, isn't this such schools rugby? We started the match without somebody running the lines.
We've got at least one now.
Here he comes.
Sprinting across the field, and still needed another assistant referee on this side.
They might just have to work twice as hard. Wynberg's attacking lineup. Fed in and cleared by Paulson. Well, Wynberg looking to set off their big runners. It's a good set. All not quick enough to disrupt the SACS defense, and they rush up and smother the Wynberg burgeoning attack. Cleared again by Paulson. Now trying to find space on the outside. There's a fine line back onto the inside. Wynberg building momentum well here. It's Paulson again, and it's spread by Tiernissen. But a forward pass brings an end to that momentum that they were building. SACS will be breathing a sigh of relief.
Fantastic defense by SACS, getting off the line incredibly hard and taking away the space of the Wynberg attackers. Good in the play here, and a good carry up the middle here by the Wynberg boys. And from that ruck, there was a lot of space outside left, on the left flank, and unfortunately they couldn't expose that. First scrum of the match, always a tricky one for referees, players, all trying to feel each other out, and hopefully we can get this part of the game sorted out so we can have a flowing game.
Some big boys up front for SACS. Looking forward to see if Richards can move some bodies, 110 kilograms worth of them.
See, for front row forwards, this is the only thing rugby goes about. It's about scrumming. The rest is just part of the periphery for them. Very important, this for the young men.
Oh, to be a front row. Let's see if we get a good set this time. And a free kick to Wynberg. So McIntyre not able to feed. Decision time for Wynberg, and the call for another scrum. Interesting, Andres.
Yeah, it's an interesting call by them. I thought SACS have been very good defensively in the part of this game, only 5 minutes into it. They must back themselves or have some slick move up their sleeves that they want to have a go at.
Yeah. Space on the blind side. Nobody lining up here for Wynberg at this point in time. Will be Josh Paulson to feed. Take 3. This time it's holding steady. SACS seem to have some early dominance, but Wynberg get it away to set away a backline move, which is looking dangerous. The covering defense from SACS, admirable. Paulson slicing back onto the inside, February. Paulson to Tiernason. Wynberg looking very dangerous with ball in hand early on. They've spent the entirety of the half inside of SACS's territory, and they're yet to make it count though. Stuck just beyond the 10-meter line. And now they make meters. That's the 22 of SACS. Paulson's there again, looking for some crash ball runners. And the forwards obliged, carry it forward once more. Paulson to clear. Wynberg with momentum. They have runners in motion. And that time, not utilizing the runners as SACS shooting up missiles in defense. That can only work so many times when you break your defensive line that way. Wynberg working the blind now. SACS unable to get hands on the ball, try to pilfer something at a breakdown. And that just means Wynberg can continue to build up the phases, but it breaks down. The most frustrating of fashions. The basic knock-on, about 10 meters out from the line, and SACS had an overlap there just briefly. McIntyre clears, slightly isolated now. SACS must secure their own ball. Playing a dangerous game. McIntyre plays it, and it's away to Njaule, who puts the grubber through, and this could spell trouble. Brilliant tackle from Demons, but the offload is good. And now it may be out in the corner. Oh, what a brilliant finish. And against the run of play, SACS score first.
Fantastic stuff by the SACS team there. Turnover on their own try line, and they went the 400 meters to get in under the sticks. And I was just about to praise the Wynberg boys for holding onto the ball so well. They went through about 15 phases, spilled the ball, and then under your own sticks.
Oh, take a look at this, Andres.
It's fantastic. The vision to get that offload away, and then he had a lot of work to do here. Straight off the one defender, and then open try line, waiting this young man.
Well, nothing quite like it. So good to see schoolboy and schoolgirl, of course, sports back in action. All sorts of sports available to you on School Sports Live. It's up and over it goes. SACS take the lead, and Wynberg will be shaken by that. They've controlled this match altogether up until this point.
No, they have, and it's like the first time they touched the ball, they scored points, and they haven't spent any time in the Wynberg half, and Wynberg having been attacking this whole game, and unfortunately spilling that ball and costing them 7 points.
Just waiting for a ball. So we've had some of the hallmarks of schoolboy rugby. Missing assistant referee, 2 balls on the field. Brings back memories.
Just all on a Saturday.
Yeah, all on a Saturday's work.
3, 2, 1.
Up it goes from Wynberg. They'll be smarting from what they've just experienced. Great kickoff though. Wynberg players unable to get underneath it, and that's a great return that. Even maybe Nathan Pretorius who received that. The kick over the top will bounce awkwardly. Wynberg able to field. They've got ball back in hand again, and they clearly back themselves in possession. SACS will be growing in confidence with their defense. Paulson away to February. Great clean, quick ball again, and once more Wynberg. Well, it's turned from a knock-on into a penalty after the player ahead of the ball played it, so insult to injury, and they're shooting themselves in the foot right now.
Yeah, but you have to give credit to SACS at the moment. They're shooting off the line, they're sticking together defensively, making it tough for Wynberg to find space, and also taking away their decision-making time, forcing the turnovers, forcing the mistakes, and that's worked really well for them.
We do have 2 assistant referees in place now. One of whom has turned his SACS jersey inside out. Will be troubling for the opposition. SACS have an attacking line out. Edward Macheke to feed. Oh, they try to hit the back, and that's been touched by a Wynberg player. Not spotted. Play on is the call. An advantage indeed to Wynberg. They'll have another opportunity at a scrum.
Yeah, unfortunate, the first line went for their back ball, which was quite ambitious. Couldn't find his jumpers. And Wynberg getting one for free here. Another scrumming opportunity for them in the middle of the field and two sides of the field to attack you.
Well, last time they had a free kick, they called for a scrum, so they clearly backed their set piece, and they did try to run a set move off of that. They're looking very constructive with ball in hand, well drilled. SACS yet to have that opportunity.
Yeah, they do look well coached and well drilled, and their skills are quite good as well, being able to hold on to the ball that long.
Well, that will be extremely frustrating for Wynberg. And another 10 meters for some skullduggery from Paulson, and the tap and go is from SACS. McIntyre setting them on their way. Wynberg once again sinking in defense. SACS look to blitz them on the turnover ball. McIntyre hungry to be there, number 9. Dummy and go from the big boy. SACS moving forward, and this is their flyer from Jawule. Could be a chance on here for SACS again, and they're over. Incredible efficiency in their play. They've had 2 sniffs at the line, and they've taken both. It's 12 points to 0 with the kick to come.
Tremendous stuff by the SACS team. I must say, McIntyre, he's just been the spark for this team in the first 10 minutes, cleaning the ball quite quickly at the right time, keeping them on the front foot, the pick and go. A lot of work to do here. And a 5-pointer for the SACS side.
Incredible work.
Incredible stuff how McIntyre just speeds up the game, putting the Wynberg defense under a lot of pressure, keeping the ball in behind them, generating momentum, and then rewarded the 5-pointer.
Negotiating a slight breeze. The kick is up. It is high and it is mighty. Over the bar. 14 points to 0.
And Wynberg won't believe this. They've played all the rugby, most of it in the half of SACS, and they're finding themselves 14 points down.
Well, the coach will be reading the riot act at halftime when that comes, but Wynberg, of course, have plenty of time to put some points on the board before that halftime whistle comes around. Flat restart this time. Oh, great effort, but the knock-on does come. That'll be a quick regain of possession from Wynberg.
Often those misstruck kicks are the most difficult to feel. I don't think you ever trained that. A lot of character shown by the young man to try and catch that out of the air.
Well, SACS have a defensive scrum. They want a free kick off the back of their last scrum. Wynberg will be yearning for that stability that they got from their first successful scrum. They unleashed the backline move.
Yeah, we've only seen one scrum completed, and from all the others we've seen free kicks. And it is a part of the game that can be frustrating for the average guy watching rugby. And it's tough to referee as well, because not a lot of referees spend their times in scrums. I don't think a lot of prop forwards become referees after their playing careers. It's a tough part of the game to referee, but also it's a necessary part of the game to have everyone involved. Rugby is a game for all shapes and sizes, and the scrum makes it possible for these big lads to be part of this game.
So we need some front rankers carrying the whistles. Paulson's digging in there underneath the feet of Dutoy, and again the backline move does not come off. Great handoff though from Demonze, who's now looping around to the outside. Wild pass back on the inside, but it will mean that Wynberg retained possession. It's really struggling to cross even the 22-meter line of SACS, in spite of the amount of ball they've had and how polished they've looked with that ball in hand. No clear release. Tap and go from Paulson. He wants to now increase the pace, much like his opposite number, McIntyre. No tackle called. His knee not down on the ground, Paulson. The ball does come free for Wynberg now. And this indeed is their best attacking opportunity thus far. Not keeping the ball very tidy from that ruck. Not much structure in attack either, and you'll see that the arm is extended in the direction of the visiting side. The frustration continues.
Again, the SACS defense just standing up firm, being under a bit of pressure, but they do take away the decision-making time from Wynberg so good and forcing these mistakes. So if you take away the time, you've got less time to make decisions, you're more likely to make mistakes, and SACS have been doing that incredibly well.
That won't be going out. Once again, Wynberg will have to run with the ball. Done so much of that in this first half with absolutely no reward. Shepherded towards the touchline again by some dedicated SACS defending, tapping it out of the air, kicking it to keep it alive, and forced the knock-on not to be called. And away he goes now, Damonze, breaking through, but the pass finds an opposition player. Oh, the Wynberg coaching staff, they'll be livid. SACS have a big overlap if they can free the ball here. Oh, well, defenders shooting up out of the line did just enough. This frantic pace of the match continues.
Frantic pace, exciting stuff. It's good to watch. The boys are willing to have a go, and they're also willing to try and get those 50-50 passes away. Not always going to hand, but it certainly is exciting to watch. Back in my day, that was a good tackle. The rules have changed so much. Protecting the players, which is a good thing, protecting everyone on the field.
There's our assistant referee. Came to the rescue. Started off the match with just a referee. SACS again with an attacking line out of sorts on the 10-meter line of Wynberg. How do they work this? It's through the hands of Mjaule, shooting out of the line, but they've missed Majal, and now there's space on the outside. And Simons, first try scorer, gets the pass away. Interplay from SACS. Looks off the cuff, but really the players communicating so well with each other, and they earn another penalty.
Simon's a try scorer, doing incredibly well to keep that ball alive and finding the space down the touchline. And the longer this game's going on, the more SACS are getting their hands on the ball, the more dangerous they look. They are scoring points and they are on the lead, but they haven't really played a lot of rugby.
Surprised if they had over 20% possession, especially before this latest attacking movement. Now they move in considered fashion to a line out about 7 or 8 meters out from the Wynberg line, and alarm bells will be ringing. Another successful line out for SACS after that failure in the first. They've turned the corner in that set piece and breaking away, perhaps too early, Macheke. Struggle to get this free, but it is McIntyre who does get it away, and the switch play from Mjaule ends in a penalty to Wynberg.
Again, one of those instinctive things to do when the ball's coming your way. It's just tough to leave it alone. Player being in offside position, knock on, and then playing at it. And this is a welcome reprieve for the Wynberg team. They've been under a bit of pressure the last 5 minutes.
What a touch finder that is.
Very good kick. Putting the Wynberg team back into the half of the SACS side. Wynberg have been under a bit of pressure in their set piece, and I want to make sure that they get this and start getting the momentum back in their favour.
Hit the back of the line out, and they do well. Breaking early was Paulson. They work it back to the touchline. More good defending from SACS. More excellent possession from Wynberg. So quick to clear the rucks and create quick ball. SACS are equally quick in setting the defensive lines. That pass not leaving much option. The outside back, make any ground, and a small knock on there, and the catalogue of frustrating errors continues to compile here. The Wynberg second side.
It must be frustrating. They're just not getting their game going at the moment, and when they do have the ball in hand, they actually look quite dangerous. They are creating opportunities as well, all the Wynberg team, but they're not able to finish those or capitalize from the space that they are creating for their players.
Well, the scrums haven't been going that well at all. McIntyre with the tap and go, and who's there again? Mjawule grubbering through, putting tremendous pressure on Demonze. But look at Demonze's counter-attack here. He's backed himself and he's beaten 3 or 4. Kick back to the inside, brilliantly fielded. That is the cover defending that you need to see.
Both these teams are here to play, aren't they? Quick tap from the penalty, the kick through, great running by the Demonze, getting his team into the front foot, and fantastic clear-up work by the SACS team.
Good run.
Dangerous running here from Demonze.
He has looked dangerous with ball in hand. He's a well-balanced run and a good kick into the inside as well. It looks like the Wynberg team has received a yellow card for foul play, putting his knee onto one of the opposition players.
Andres, who would want to be a coach? You've drilled your team clearly during the week. The way that they're running the ball is fantastic. They've clearly been doing everything the coach has asked up until they get onto the field.
Now, it must be frustrating and also rewarding when the players actually perform as they can. That was a free exit for the SACS team.
And the Wynberg side has been playing well as well. There's nothing to show for it. Macheke feeds the line out again. It comes down for McIntyre. Just about making it work time after time. Mjawule carries it forward, and we will have another scrum.
We've had a lot of scrums in this game, but we haven't had a lot completed. SACS putting Wynberg under a lot of pressure at scrum time. They've generated some go forward from that. Penalties in short times.
Penalty to Wynberg this time on the back of that scrum. They really just cannot get them completed. Now wrapping around the outside is Paulson. They've got numbers there though, SACS. And they've had numbers there every single time.
Defensively, SACS have been incredibly strong. Hey? They've covered the entire field most of the time, and they're putting the Wynberg boys under a lot of pressure. You just like to see them hold on to the ball a bit longer. They've made use of the kick in behind quite often in the first 20 minutes.
And it comes from Wynberg. They have another successful line-out. Coming into the line-out, perhaps. All's well that ends well, and they have the big runner in the midfield again, Wynberg. Torius affects the tackle. Oh, that may be a seatbelt tackle. And hopefully that'll be the end of it as far as Macheke is concerned. May not be the end.
Yeah, unfortunate, Joe. You'd think so. High tackles being refereed so strictly in the last couple of months, and rightly so. Just a warning from the referee and a penalty, and this is probably a good opportunity for Wynberg to get some points on the board and try and shift the momentum back into their favour.
Moser!
Well, just drifting, and the assistant referee not quite sure how to adjudicate this. He's standing on the try line. He needs to move to the 5-meter line or call it out over the dead ball. A bit of frustration from the Wynberg boys. This is a big one for them, of course.
It is a bit of a shambles with the assistant referees.
Well, he was organized at the drop of a hat, didn't have any assistant referees for the match, so the young man has stepped into the fray. Now he's catching pelters. That's not right. Go time for Wynberg right now. There can be no question of that.
Just a bit of deliberation around the assistant referees and wanting to get someone in a bit more qualified, I suppose. Crucial line out this for Wynberg.
Absolutely, and they look for the trick play going to the front. SACS wise to it. No rolling maul will be created, and Paulson will look to clear. Crash ball is what they turn to, and it's February going forward, but SACS get the job done. Aggressive defense. This is the closest to their line they've been, really. Last time Wynberg were here, they knocked it on almost immediately. Macheka makes the tackle. This time a legal one. Paulson trying to get his players in movement around to the right side, and SACS have a chance to attack that breakdown. Paulson sends it away again to February, and it's Answer that makes the tackle. The short play, and the penalty goes against Wynberg again. It is stunning how many points they've left out there on the field here in this first half, and all the good, positive, structured play that they've had has come up to nothing.
Yeah, again, gutsy defense by the SACS team, and this player just picking the ball up from offside position and getting penalised for it.
Hey, tough.
Yeah, Wynberg have played all the rugby. They've done most of the work. They're not getting rewarded for it, and it's small mistakes like that that are costing them at the moment.
Well, the assistant referee's kept his job. The saga continues. Check a defeat. Another successful line out for SACS, and directly into the bread basket off the tap around the back of the head. And the kick over the top. Well, if that had bounced into the arms for SACS, then Wynberg could just throw their hands up and say it's not our day.
It was a good kick, a good execution as well. There's a lot of space in behind there, and the rugby ball can bounce anywhere, and you can put the opposition under a lot of pressure.
So efficient with their possession, SACS.
They have been. They've been defensively very strong, and then playing in the right parts of the field when they do get the opportunity to.
Delport's been a real problem in the lineouts for Wynberg. Number 7 flanker jumping there to contest, but Wynberg do bring it down successfully again. It's been a much more positive contest at the lineout set piece than the scrum. We struggled to get a clean set. Paulson not happy with the behavior of the SACS players and how they're defending the small. Wynberg getting some go forward. They have a fair old way to go, I can tell you that much. That's the halfway line. Paulson satisfied that they can continue moving forward, hoping surely for a penalty advantage. Some of the swimming that's going on now from the SACS players, seemingly deliberately collapsing that maul. No such call, and Wynberg forced to move forward with ball in hand, in for the turnover. Penalty comes the way of the home team.
It's a tactic the Springboks have used quite successfully in the past, using that driving maul to get penalties in their own half and then kicking it into the half of the opposition to create point scoring opportunities. Tackler not rolling away and unfortunately giving away that penalty, but good work from the Wynberg team. Again, crucial for them to get some points on the board before half time, take a bit of momentum into the break and then come out after the break firing.
I think the less said about the Springboks right now, the better, Andres. We need to lick the wounds for a while, prepare for what is to come. Well, another great touch finder for Wynberg, putting them right into the corner. No controversy this time. Wow, they will be desperate to score. Desperate to score. Dominated possession and territory. No contest from SACS, getting ready to defend the rolling maul, which was so successful the last time Wynberg tried it out. Can they keep their feet and move forward this time? No, they can't. Once again, they've been thwarted at the last by this sterling SACS second team, who have kept the score down to 0.
They've just made it impossible for Wynberg to get points on the board, and it's very gutsy from them. It's a crucial part of the game, time of the game now to prevent them from scoring points. And they've just been unwilling to give them anything.
Absolutely. Finley is the player that's had the kicking responsibilities for SACS, the inside centre, standing at 1.93 meters in the 12 jersey.
And good sack work by the SACS team in that line-out, excuse the pun, and then forcing that penalty, and that must be frustrating. They've had a fantastic drive just prior to that, not sitting well, set themselves up for a try scoring opportunity.
waiting for the ball to arrive again. There's plenty of space outside of the field for the ball to bounce away. Cheke to feed again. Up he goes to take it. It's again it's Delport. And tapped into touch, wisely so, by Jed McIntyre, who's been one of the standout players of this half, Andres.
He has been. He's been picking up the pace of the SACS team and putting them on the front foot. And it was a good half for the SACS team. Wynberg would feel they've left a lot of points out there and they'd want to come and rectify that in the second half.
14-0 to SACS. That's the halftime score. Second half to come, and the first team match still on its way as well. Plenty of action right here in Super Sports Schools.
But things are never going to change.
Excuse me. The one thing you can be sure of is change. Things are always changing. And Mzansi, this is the home of change. You know, we live by a code here.
Yeah, asimo states more.
Because Mzansi, we know
if we don't change, things won't change.
And big for biggie.
Mark mere change hiso. Yes! Power. Power to the changeables, the adaptable problem solvers who don't need a corner office to start an empire. Look at us. We are the changeables.
Changeables. Veranderingen. Everything's changing.
You know?
And sometimes it's the smallest change that makes the biggest difference.
Switch to FNB, Bank of the Changeables.
Dominated by possession and territory stakes.
The scoreboard at the moment, and that's something Wynberg will have to look at to try and rectify in the second half, is to capitalize from the opportunities that they are creating. Hardware has been spoken by the SACS coaching team, but they've been phenomenal defensively. They've been outstanding, haven't allowed the Wynberg team anything, and they've created opportunities. And like you mentioned, Simon's finished a great try against the run of play. Should have been 7 points on the opposite side of the field, and scored that 90-meter try to put his team in the front.
So as the Wynberg head coach, what do you say to your team right now? Having seen them play so positively in the first half, knowing that they'll be frustrated, they've got a yellow card showing their frustration. How do you turn this match around? It's only 14 points that they have to chase down.
It's only 14 points they have to chase down. They've played a lot of good rugby, so the message should be just to try and hold on to the ball in those crucial times, because they are pressurised defensively. They've got no time making those decisions. So, hold on to the ball, fight that extra yard when you get into contact, and then, create those opportunities and build from the opportunities that you're creating.
The SACS side will be full of confidence, especially with the way they've been defending, which we really need to take note of, because for all of the quality of Wynberg's attack, phase after phase, quick rucks, SACS defense line just stayed spread and held their line.
Some talented rugby players in both these teams and some balanced runners. I'm hoping to see this game opening up a bit in the second half, because both teams are willing to give the ball a bit of air and throw those 50-50 offloads. One or two of those go to hand, and you can see a completely different game here.
Absolutely. I think we saw the most evidence of that from SACS, working on the broken play. Almost created a third try with a kick over the top by the very impressive fly-off, Aka Mjawule. Western Province Sevens and under 13. So one can understand where that array of flair comes from with which he plays.
And SACS playing with the slight breeze that we have at the moment at their backs, and they'd want to pin the Wynberg team into their own half and then capitalize from the territory that they'll create with the wind on their side.
Simon, stay. Back, Marshall, get to the back.
Ollie Finley to kick off. His father attended both SACS and Wynberg. Very flat kickoff for Wynberg to deal with, bouncing straight into their arms. Bang. Straight into the contact. Paulson takes the responsibility, clearing the ball from Wynberg lines onto his shoulders, and that's a brilliant take though from Majal. SACS in possession now. McIntyre off to Mjawule. The pass over the top is a bouncing one to the try scorer from the first half, Simons. And a penalty to Wynberg. Finally getting the rub of the green. They'll feel great about this, Andres.
Well, and it's an important part of the game again. Start of the second half. They want to get into the opposition half and put some pressure on them. It was a fantastically weighted box kick by the Wynberg team, well contested in the air, and then unfortunately for SACS, they created this space and they couldn't capitalize off that.
Tough kick to get any distance on. That's across the halfway line, and Wynberg back on the front foot again, much as they were throughout the first half. Wynberg have worked hard on their lineouts. The contest from SACS is admirable, not bearing any fruits, and that pass delayed to the final moment, perfectly executed, putting Wynberg onto the front foot. Olsen struggles to get there in time for quick ball. And Wynberg's attack stopped on the 10-meter line. This skip ball will find them in some space, and now they have something to run at. Looking for options, the SACS defenders get across, but wisely keeping ball in hand, Wynberg. And they set a ruck inside the 22-meter line of SACS now, but they've been here before. Responsibility required now, especially so from their crash ball runners as they set up again. Paulson. Short ball and Wynberg charge forward. That's Genvi. Paulson, and round the corner they come. Josh DeToy, the birthday boy, carrying forward for Wynberg. How dearly he would love to score. Paulson sends it to the blind to Kirtley February. He's been busy on attack. Not much to do in the scrums, as most of them have been collapsed, of course. And again, it's DeToy. Positive stuff this from Wynberg. They'll just need a few more phases, surely, to find the gap. Charging for the line, Kieran. Paulson switches direction now, and DeToy's the carrier once more. Stopped in his tracks. They remain 5 meters out. SACS charge up in defense, asking the question of the Wynberg team if they can keep their hands, hold on to the ball as they failed to do in the first half, and they've failed again in the second. Mjawule clears the lines, and now Wynberg, with nobody in position at fullback, are scrambling back to deal with this. Will he keep ball in hand and back himself? Yes, he does, and that's dangerous in itself. Forward out of the hand, everybody agreed before any whistle was heard. And Andres, that was a frantic period of play.
It was a frantic period of play, and again, the SACS team just being so strong defensively. Wynberg must be completely frustrated by now. They've given everything they've had. They haven't had the opportunity to get over the whitewash. They find themselves, 70 meters back into their own half again, defending again.
And that's a kick in the teeth.
It's impressive. That was an impressive pass out the back of the hand there. Unfortunately, it went forward.
It was, yes. Rolling the dice on counter-attacking at that point, though, with only one player in support. SACS almost playing on their desperation. He has been one of the shining lights for this Wynberg side. There's Kieran Adams. McIntyre to feed. Possibly the best player on the pitch so far. The SACS scrum finally feeling the pain that Wynberg clearly thought they should be bringing all game. Mjawule carries forward. In goes Simons. Heavy contact, penalty only.
Strong carry by Simons again. And deemed to have been tackled high by the referee and winning his team a penalty on that occasion. Get the feeling that if Wynberg want to get back into this game, they're going to have to slow it down slightly and make use of their forwards to get over the gain line and draw in the SACS defenders closer to the ruck and then expose the width on the end.
What about this from SACS, Andries, going for posts?
Uncharacteristic, I'd
Yes.
say.
It's incredibly lanky inside centre. Ollie Finlay.
Probably a smart choice to have a kicker goal there. If he kicks it over 17 points, the difference has 3 scores. It just stretches the gap a bit.
Clean strike that. No problems for Finlay, 17 points to 0.
And that's what they call building scoreboard pressure. You're 17 points back. Now you have to score 3 times to get into the lead. So all of a sudden, on playing all the rugby, Wynberg find themselves chasing a game here, and they're running out of time.
Well, the oval ball, you'll never know which way it will bounce, and Wynberg will be rubbing their eyes at the scoreline right now. Mentz with the kickoff. All allowed to bounce, pressure on from Wynberg, but SACS able to tidy up. That's back from McIntyre to Finlay, who tries to clear. Out and to touch off the charge down. So pressure applied. Could be a turning point.
This could be a turning point. A lot of urgency from Wynberg at this stage, and that's what they need right now. They need some urgency, they need some energy, and they need to get they have to find a way to get onto the scoreboard.
Edward Macheke will be feeding the line out under pressure. Expect Wynberg to challenge. Trick play to the front of the line. It's a free kick to Wynberg. Didn't cross the 5-meter line. Drama, Andries.
It is drama. It didn't cross the 5-meter line. One of those coach killers when you under pressure and you make a mistake like that. But a fantastic opportunity now for Wynberg to get some points on the board.
Come back into fashion, the tap and go from 5 meters out at all levels of the game, and they set the rolling maul. This is straight out of the old school book, but look at SACS coming straight over the top there. Absolutely brilliant work. Getting his hands on the ball, I think it's Lush Delport. Oh, they've made hay of that Wynberg attack immediately off the tap and go from the penalty. It's turned into a turnover ball and a desperate clearance from SACS, but a clearance all the same. How long can it go on for the coaches?
Another one of those fantastic defensive efforts from SACS, and Delport getting his hands onto the ball. Unfortunately for the Wynberg team, they couldn't move that to the back of the rolling maul soon enough. Exceptional work by Delport. He's a lanky fella and also has got a massive work rate as well.
Shulin Abrams is the hooker for Wynberg. Only about 7 meters out from the line now, and they have another opportunity. This might just be playing on their nerves. The amount of chances they've had in close. Oh, and after plenty of movement in the line out, the throw is not exactly straight, and it's Lush Delport. Carries it forward. And you've got to feel for the coaches of Wynberg and the players as well. Now on Ollie Finlay, trusted with the responsibility to clear, but it's back in with Southgate off to Mentz, who has been immense in this match thus far, kicking down now towards the touchline for SACS to deal with. They'll do well to clear their lines, and Mjawule showing the responsibility and cool head required in the situation as they're holding on to a 17-point lead.
Clinical stuff by the SACS team, just making sure that they're not putting themselves under pressure by playing too much rugby close to their own try line. And you can see that the Wynberg team wants to pick up the pace of the game. They want to pick up the intensity.
Shulen Abrams, you're under pressure now after the failed line out, 7 meters out from the SACS line. It has not gone much better. Going to the back under pressure, perhaps not the best choice. McIntyre almost finding a small gap to charge through. Kwezianse, it's on to Mjaule, and they're finding some space on the outside here. SACS free running now, going for the line again. The inside ball just not going to hand. The penalty goes the way of SACS, might have been tapped down. Predatory instincts of SACS rugby.
Fantastic, the way they move the ball into space and finding space and keeping it alive, just incredible. Unfortunately, you'd say for Wynberg, they got a hand in the way there, otherwise we've been certain 5-pointer.
Tap and go, it's Hummel that carries forward. Enser follows on from him, and SACS keeping it up close for now. Plenty of numbers in the back line. Andrew Good carrying it forward now. Not that Andrew Good, of course. Forward again from SACS. They've upped the tempo right next to the posts, and Wynberg are on the ropes now. Time after time, they're moving forward. No call for the try quite yet. But closer and closer they come. We're going back for the penalty. Catch your breath if you can.
Jed McIntyre just slowing things down, giving us all a chance to catch our breath. They've been extremely clinical, have SACS been. Every time they get an opportunity, they look like they're going to score points.
And this would be the final nail in the coffin, perhaps, for Wynberg. And powering straight through and over the line, it's Uthman Richards.
That's a fantastic strike scored by the big man. Not easy to stop him 5 meters from the line. He did exactly what his job was. Get over the try line and score, and a fantastic celebration as well.
We saw a similar situation from Wynberg on the opposite end of the field. Another look now, Andrews.
Good body position, good leg drive, getting over for the try. And that's been the difference between the two teams. They've created as many opportunities as they have, but SACS have just managed to score those points.
Another opportunity at the sticks. The impressive Ollie Finley.
100% kicking record at the moment.
Another clean strike and straight over from Ollie Finley. And SACS are celebrating 24 points to 0.
Celebrating and starting to enjoy themselves as well now. They can play a bit more rugby now, a bit more stress-free rugby. And they can keep on putting Wynberg under pressure, because Wynberg's going to try and start throwing the ball around, and that's going to play into the hands of the SACS defensive system.
It's a difficult feeling as a young schoolboy, preparing all week, all year, all the training, and then you come on a Saturday morning, 42 minutes into the match, you find yourself still stuck on 0 points after executing 90 or 95% of everything your coach taught you during the week.
And a lot of what could have been for the Wynberg team at the moment. They've had those opportunities. They've just not managed to finish those off.
Kieran Adams, fullback for Wynberg, sends that one high into the sky. Well received by McIntyre under pressure. But that's what that kind of kickoff can do for you. It's got SACS scrambling. And what a superb clearance under pressure. It's absolutely brilliant.
Yeah, everything's just going the way of the SACS team at the moment. Finley under a lot of pressure then. Fantastic kick to get into the half of Wynberg.
Abrams. Well, that's not exactly straight from Shukri Abrams, but they'll be let off understandably. Wynberg. 2 failed lineouts in a row from Abrams, and this time they managed to bring the ball back down onto their side. It's off to Connor Ross. The chip over the top is highly contested. Tried to tap it back onto Wynberg's side, but now the counter-attack may just be on. It's Machuli moving forward. And away to the outside. No, could be on in the corner for SACS. But brilliant defense at the last from Josh Paulson, who refuses to lose here. The number 9 for Wynberg just cannot give up.
Interesting decision from the Wynberg team for that, kick over the top. If you give the SACS team a sniff, they'll certainly take it.
Into the line out for SACS. It's been efficient at line out time. Didn't have to get it right altogether that time. They've secured possession. Bearing down on the Wynberg line again. The try scorer Richards losing control of the ball, and it's a scrum advantage to Wynberg. One feels they wouldn't want to take any time setting a scrum. They just want to run this ball, and they've got numbers. They've got to get that final pass away. SACS have rolled the dice. Goodness gracious, that is a clean out of note. SACS have rolled the dice time after time, shooting up out of the line to stop the outside passes. Oh, the liquid running of Kieran Adams has lit up this game many a time. Once again, Wynberg cannot capitalize on that line break. They do retain possession all the same, and now under pressure. They've lost control altogether. And jogging in for the try, and does he not just deserve it? They call him the stepper. It's Aka Mjaule.
Phenomenal stuff, and he's been all over the place as well. He's had some fine touches with ball in hand, with the reward with a try of his own. It's just very characteristic of this game. We've seen Wynberg playing a lot of rugby. One mistake, SACS will pounce on that, and surely to be a 7-point swing. He's been good today, Paul.
Excellent.
He's got good hands on him. He's got a good understanding of the game. He finds space when he kicks the ball there.
Ollie Finley steps up again. Must imagine with a frame like this, he'll be shifting to the 10 or the 15 at some point in his future career, should he so choose. Clean hit, and it goes straight over the sticks. A phenomenal performance from SACS.
.100% kicking record for the young man today, and he's just added insult to injury for Wynberg at the moment, just stretching them that much further apart.
Head spinning scoreline. Matthew Sharples has come onto the field to replace Uthman Richards. That for SACS. The kick is up. Great contest in the air.
Good work ultimately from the Wynberg team, because if he left that, it would have been straight out, scrum in the middle of the field. Got into the air and just forced it to be a line out on the 22 meters of SACS.
They may have decided on a scrum in the end. These assistant referees who were just wrangled at the last moment have been under masses of pressure.
They have been under a lot of pressure. I suppose they got they got the choice to make there. If you knock it on into touch, you take the line out with the scrum. The line outs have been under a lot of pressure, so the scrum probably the better choice for them.
This Wynberg scrum is making it pay in the second half as much as they can, but SACS get the ball free all the same. And it's Majal out to the try scorer Simons. What can SACS do with this possession? Wynberg leaving enormous spaces in behind the line for the kick should SACS choose to use the wind, just breezing at their back, corner to corner on the field. Penalty comes the way of Wynberg. It's not the spot, unfortunately.
It's not the spot. They want to play. They have to play to get some points on the board. And the SACS team uncharacteristically trying to play from their own half. I suppose they can afford it now. Not much to lose at the moment.
Very true. And Wynberg. Clock ticking against them. Take the time to make the decision, and Paulson finds an outstanding touch. Oh, he's been good today, the number 9.
Number 9, both number 9s have been very good today, trying to speed up the lane. It was a good pick into touch there. Good work on the floor there by the Wynberg team, and then that guy just going straight off his feet. Also getting tossed out the way.
It's a tough game. Well, pressure on here for Abrams, who's had his errors of late, but this time Wynberg do manage to bring it down by hook or by crook. Powering towards the line, and they've lost control again. Can you believe it? Mjawule coming away with it, and wisely Majal turns to the boot. It's Kieran Adams who fields it, and he is a dangerous runner. Here he goes again, looking for gaps. Oh, man. Gaps in the SACS line. Clearly had enough of that from Adams. Muscling his way forward there was Dutoy. A penalty to Wynberg for not rolling away. Paulson eager for the tap and go. We know such luck.
Great work from SACS again, Njala, getting that rip from making that tackle. He's been impressing me today. The tiny man's got a lot of fight in him.
Just seems to be the one that keeps coming up with it behind his own try line, running to the side and clearing the lines. What about Paulson today? In a losing effort, just stood out, and it takes a lot to do that.
Wynberg opting for the scrum from that penalty. Again, two sides of the field to attack to here.
And they tried this out a couple of times in the first half.
And you get the feeling the ball's going to go to Kieran Adams here, and he's going to try and find space.
Toy breaks away, gets it to Paulson, and they do have Adams on the outside, but here powering through, it's Paulson. Who else? The shining number 9 finally gets some points for his side, and Wynberg on the board.
Fantastic stuff. Just put the afterburners on when he saw the space in front of him. Get over for the 5-pointers, and this is it. This is what Wynberg were looking for since the beginning of this game.
Finally making one of their sweeping backline moves pay, finding the gap. And here it is.
Another solid scrum, playing with the wheel of the scrum Paulson, just putting on the afterburners, getting the outside gap and doing well to finish. Slightly cheeky, you'd say.
Well, SACS taking the time to get back to the halfway line. Finley gets us back underway. Deep restart, allowed to bounce by Dutoy. Oh boy! He's lost control of that. The definition of a coach killer. Immediately after scoring a try, their only try of the match.
Definitely a coach killer, that one. You've just put some points on the board. You're getting the ball kicked at you, and you want to start playing rugby on the opposite side of the field. It was one of those difficult ones to field, and took his eye off the ball, and the frustration is just coming out in both teams at the moment.
It's a unit, Dutoy. Very impressive loose forward from the Wynberg side, while for SACS, Lash Delport seems to be a very handy player to have in your loose trio, especially standing as tall as he does. Also interested in boxing, MMA, and karate, so he's a fighter.
If you could see that today.
And to feed this scrum now, Jed McIntyre. It's only his 3rd game playing as a scrum half. He's formerly a loose forward himself.
Doing very well as a scrum half then. Very lively. He's got a good pass on him as well.
Look at this Wynberg scrum now, putting SACS under pressure, but able to clear by a Lash Delport. Now SACS finding some gaps again in this Wynberg defense. Are they tiring and just allowing spaces in those pillar positions? All the way in for the try. You'd better believe it. It's his opposite number. Jed McIntyre scores just after Josh Paulson puts 5 points on the board, and the 2 number 9s continue to shine.
Jed McIntyre, the young number 9, formerly a loose forward, had to work hard to get over that try line. He's been really impressive today. He's made a lot of good decisions. He speeded up the game quite nicely. And that's it. They're finding the space in behind the Wynberg defence. And then a quick pick up from Jed McIntyre to get over the whitewash.
Tackle fight from SACS. Belief, the intent. Come out on top of Wynberg. All of those factors, all of those fields. There's the structure and attack by Wynberg. So they got the upper hand. Finley, easy as you like. Take a look at that background. What a place to play rugby. Wynberg.
He looks incredibly comfortable when he kicks the rugby ball.
Yes, he does. Out of hand as well, under pressure. He made a phenomenal clearance, over 50 meters. SACS, of course, no strangers to turning out top rugby players. Most notably, of course, the one and only Jesse Montgomery.
100 test capped Springbok Percy Montgomery. Feels like he played for a lifetime.
Absolutely. Up it goes, under pressure. What a take. Great tackle as well. SACS come up with the goods. Cleared by McIntyre, off to Finley. This one not going out into touch. Another opportunity for Kieran Adams. This time he'll turn to the boot. Very early to turn to the boot. SACS had players there covering the kick as well. Well, he's been running all afternoon. Perhaps he had his fill. And SACS keen to get the ball back on the go. The grubber through is from Mjawule. Tapped off the toe by Machuli. Now moving downfield, Machuli. He's been live wire all game long. Scrappy as Wynberg scramble to get back to thwart that attack. And it will be a put into the scrum to SACS.
It's a strange decision by Kieran Adams to kick that ball for the SACS team, and then a quick tap from the SACS team, and then that young man's been impressive. The little grubble in behind the Wynberg defence, waited to perfection, created another opportunity.
I like the look of Machuli as well. Fullback for SACS, just keeps inserting himself into the play with great pace whenever he does as well. Well, Wynberg dominant at the scrums of late. Of course, in schoolboy rugby, you can only push back 5 meters, so scrum dominance can only count for so much at schoolboy rugby, especially if your opposition side knows how to clear the ball quickly. As SACS do, quickly away from McIntyre. Mjawule. Finley gets it away, and now getting a chance to show his skills. Majal has clearly got plenty of them. Beating a couple of defenders. Wynberg players managed to manufacture the turnover. Adams sends it wide with a flat ball. Oh, dancing out into the touchline. Plenty of covering defensive pressure. These SACS boys are enjoying themselves.
SACS boys are enjoying themselves. They're leading by a long margin here, but they haven't stopped the intensity defensively. From the turnover, Wynberg opting to come down the blind side and just running out of space.
My goodness. That lush elbow. Oh, keep an eye out for this youngster. Top player, Lush Dalport. Macheke feeds the line out. No jumping this time again. Another trick play from SACS, and they move forward. These first channels proving a problem for Wynberg, but they managed to hold the player up off the ground. Illegally so. Tap and go from McIntyre. Wynberg players are judged to have been retreating or back 10 meters, so on we go. SACS still in possession. McIntyre gets it away. Both of these sides spreading out the defenders and leaving a lot of space in behind the line, and Mjawule has found that space a couple of times with some clever kicks. Kicks just like this, which put pressure on the Wynberg team. But Kieran Adams has ball in hand now, and we know he's dangerous. Adams throws one out, irresponsibly so, and SACS managed to capitalize and regain possession once more.
Kieran Adams always looking dangerous with ball in hand. Unfortunately, none of those passes have worked out for him today. As you see the final whistle being blown, 38-7. It's been a fantastic performance by the SACS team.
Well, what a match to watch. Real turn up for the books. Wynberg dominating possession, dominating territory, especially so in the first half. But for all of that, they just watched SACS run in the tries on the counter-attack. It really was a spectacular performance from the away side today, and the Wynberg second team will be frustrated.
And a lot of highlights in this game, hey, Paul, and this was one of my favourite moments in the game, the big man going over for the 5-pointer, and this youngster has been incredible today. Those kicks into space have been well weighted every time he kicked the ball, and he made those turnovers on his own try line. Defensively he's been strong, ball in hand he's been strong, and then rewarded with a 5-point and a good finish.
Classy player, and there was plenty of class shown by SACS, but here's that Wynberg try, finally getting something for themselves.
Yeah, Josh Paulson, a bit sneaky, came around the corner here, almost getting forced into touch, but he had a strong game as well for the Wynberg team, and a lot of pressure at times, but managed to get his team onto the front foot and create some opportunities. Unfortunately, none of those were finished off. And that kid McIntyre, he was probably the instigator for the SACS team today.
Very enjoyable stuff between McIntyre and Mjaula. 9 and 10 for SACS. Also the fullback Machuli, asserting himself at pace many times over. And as for Wynberg, their number 9, Paulson, really stood out. Most of all, Josh DeToy got through plenty of work, the birthday boy in the number 8 jersey. But it was all for nothing in the end. The SACS win 38 points to 7 in the second 15 match here at Hawthornden at Wynberg. And we have the first team game to come.